to do and scene 2. Okay, so this is now the Cardinal's palace in Rome. Enter Pescara and Doctor. Do you remember what did we cover in last time?
I think they had shown the brothers her body,
Hmm.
like they had just killed her,
Yes.
Crayola.
Hmm. Yes. So they had killed the Duchess, her children, and Carayola. So now it's in next scene, Act 5, Scene 2, where we are now at Cardinal's Palace in Rome, where enter Pescara and Doctor. Okay. So now, Pescara. Now, doctor, may I visit your patient? Now, because they had shown the face of Duchess to Ferdinand, and Ferdinand became mad by seeing his sister, dying so young. So now that's why here we are seeing that there's doctor, and maybe he's treating Ferdinand. Okay, so now Pescara is asking. To meet Ferdinand. So, doctor, if it please your lordship, but he is instantly to take the air here in the gallery by my direction. Okay, so this is how the doctor replies Pescara. Uh, okay, so Pescara, pray thee, what's his disease? So he asks, like, what is the disease? He's asking about the disease of Ferdinand. So, doctor, a very pestilent disease, my lord. They call like lycanthropia, okay, and a very deadly disease, okay. So, and it is called lycanthropia. So, Pescara, what's that? I need a dictionary to it, because he could not understand the term, so he's asking like I want to understand it. So, doctor, I'll tell you. Okay. Then those that are possessed with it. Okay. In those that are possessed with it, there overflows such melancholy humor. They imagine themselves to be transformed into wolves, steal forth to churchyards in the dead of night, and dig dead bodies up as two nights. Since one met the Duke about midnight in a lane behind St. Mark's Church, with the leg of a man upon his shoulder, and he howled fearfully. Said he was a wolf, only the difference was a wolf's skin was hairy on the outside, his on the inside. Bade them take their words, rip up his flesh, and try. Straight I was sent for, and having ministered into him, found his grace very well recovered. So this is how he was describing the disease of Ferdinand. Now he's telling to Pescara like what is lycanthropia. He's saying like in those they are possessed with it, they overflow such melancholy humor. They imagine themselves to be transformed into wolves. So they act like wolves. They behave themselves as like wolves, and they think that like they have converted, they have transformed into wolves. And what do they do? What are their actions? So steal forth to churchyards in the dead of night and dig dead bodies up. It's 2 nights since one met the Duke about midnight. So he's telling him like they go into the churchyards, they dig up the dead bodies, they dig up the graves and take out the dead bodies and tear them up. Okay, so this is now he's telling him the incident which took place like once, he's talking about 2 nights earlier, as 2 nights since one met the Duke. So Duke, the Ferdinand, he was found uh, at the church, um, at the cemetery there, and he was found, he was having a dead man's leg on his shoulder. Okay, so what, he had dug up that grave, and he had taken the leg of that dead man, and he was behaving just like a wolf, and he was howling there. Okay, and he also said that he was a wolf, and the difference was only that a wolf had hair, outside on its skin, and he had hair inside his skin. And he said that you can check this thing by, cutting me, yeah, cutting my flesh, and you can check this thing, whatever I'm claiming. And then now doctor is saying that's why I was called up, and now I'm giving him the treatment. But he's saying that, uh, and having ministered unto him, found his grace very well recovered. So now he's saying that he is recovering, or he has recovered to some extent. So Pescara, I'm glad on it. As he said that he has recovered to some extent, so Pescara is saying, I'm glad on it. Doctor, yet not without some fear of relapse, if he grow to his feet again. I'll go a nearer way to work with him than ever Paracelsus dreamt of. If they'll give me leave, I'll buffet his madness out of him. Stand aside, he comes. So he's saying, but he hasn't, recovered fully. So I want to, still examine him, and I want to treat him very closely. And then he is giving a classical reference of a German physician, so he's saying, I'm going to work in a way, as this person Paracelsus couldn't do. Okay, and and I'm going to treat his madness. So enter Ferdinand, Malatesti, Cardinal, and Vasola. Ferdinand, leave me. Malatesti, why doth your lordship love this solitariness? Okay, so why do you want to be in solitary? Malatesti is asking. So Ferdinand, eagles commonly fly alone. They are crows, daws, and starlings that flock together. Look, what's that follows me? Okay, so he's saying, he's giving the example, he's comparing the birds, eagles, and other birds like crows and daws and starlings. So he's saying that noble birds, you know they are different from other birds. Like he's calling eagle noble, because eagle takes its own path. Eagle doesn't follow anyone else. Okay, but other birds, they fly in a kind of flocks. Okay, so then he's saying, look, what's that follows me? Okay, so okay, Malatesti, nothing, my lord. Ferdinand, yes, Malatesti, it is your shadow. So now he was looking his shadow, and he was afraid of his shadow. Ferdinand, as he looked his shadow, he was afraid of his shadow. So that's why he was asking, and Malatesti is replying, "It's your shadow." Okay, so Ferdinand, say it, let it not haunt me. So he's saying, say it, let it not haunt me. He's asking about his shadow. So Malatesti, impossible. If you move, the sunshine. So he's saying it's impossible how one can get rid of his shadow. So Ferdinand, I will throttle it. Okay, so I will get rid of it. So Malatesti, oh my lord, you're angry with nothing. So Malatesti is saying, you are angry with nothing. How one can get rid of his shadow? So and this wasn't think of that much importance, but in actual, why is he afraid of his shadow? Because his shadow is a kind of representation of his sins, whatever the sins he has committed. So his shadow was a kind of a reflection of his sins. So he was seeing those sins in his shadow. That's why he was afraid of his shadow. Okay, now he was a kind of he was thinking about his sins, about his conscience, the sins which he committed. So Ferdinand, you're a fool. How is it possible I should catch my shadow unless I fall upon it? When I go to hell, I mean to carry a bribe, for look you, good gifts evermore make way for the worst person. So now he was saying, he was talking about his shadow, that a kind of he you know his shadow could lead him towards hell. uh, his shadow, in a sense, his sins, whatever the sins he had committed in his life, especially he was thinking about the murder of his sister. So these sins could lead him towards hell. Okay, so that's why now he's saying, when I go to hell, I mean to carry a bribe, for you look, good gifts evermore make way for the worst persons. He's saying that he could carry his shadow as a bribe. When you want to you want to save yourself. So in order to save yourself, so you are um, sacrificing something else, are in uh, you give something in return. So he's talking about his shadow, like he will give his shadow in order to save himself. So Pescara, rise, good my lord. Okay, so Ferdinand, I'm studying the art of patience. Okay, because now he was so much mentally disturbed. So now he's saying, I'm studying the art of patience, Pescara. It's a noble virtue. So then, Ferdinand, to drive six snails before me from this town to Moscow. Okay, neither use God nor web to them, but let them take their own time. Okay, the patientest man in the world match me for an experiment, and I'll crawl after like a sheep biter. So he's talking about patience. When we talk about patience, so example of snails, we know that how slowly snail can travel. It travels so slowly. So it takes a lot of time. He is comparing his speed with the patience. When you try to do something, and but you need time. So that's why he's talking about the speed of the snails. As they take time to travel from one place to another. So in the same way, he is talking about his recovery. Okay. And here he's talking about sheep biter. So when they are snails, and when he will chase them, so he will be just like sheep biter. Sheep biter is a kind of dog. And so here you can see a sheepdog that drives the flock by biting them. Okay, so um, he is just comparing himself with those snails, with the speed of those snails. So that is how he's describing his patience, the way he is suffering, and the way he wants to get rid of these all things. um, and but he's saying that it will be his recovery will be a great act of patience for him to recover. So Cardinal forced him up. Ferdinand, use me while you were best. So what I have done, I'll confess nothing. Okay. So now he's just talking about his crimes. Doctor, now let me come to him. Are you mad, my lord? Are you out of your princely wits? So, Ferdinand, what's he? Pescara, your doctor. Ferdinand, let me have his beard sawed off and his eyebrows filled more civil. Okay, so he was talking about the appearance of doctor. He was asking like I don't like the way you look. So doctor, I must do made tricks with him, for that's the only way on it. I have brought your grace a salamander's skin to keep you from sunburning. Okay, so now doctor is saying, I must do matrix. The doctor was saying, in order to treat him, I must behave like him. I must act like a mad in order to treat him. So he will be comfortable with me, to talk with me, or to tell me his thoughts. And here you can see the salamander, a lizard which was thought to be able to live in fire. So I've brought your grace a salamander's skin to keep you from sun burning. So the overall meaning of this is like, you know he just wanted to treat him, but uh, he said like, I will have to behave like him. Okay, Ferdinand, I have cruel sore eyes. Okay, so doctor, the white of a cockatrice egg is a present remedy. Okay, this is a kind of remedy which he's suggesting. It's here you can see the remedy. A mythical monster similar to basilisk, whose looks could kill. Okay, basilisk. Um, we have already talked about the word basilisk. Okay, Ferdinand, let it be, new lad one. You were best. Hide me from him. Physicians are like kings, they brook no contradictions. Okay, so now, doctor, now he begins to fear me. Now let me be alone with him. Okay, Ferdinand tries to undress, but they seize him. Now the way doctor was behaving with Ferdinand, so uh, he tried. Ferdinand tried to undress himself. Okay, so but they seize him. Cardinal, how now? Put off your gown. So doctor, let me have some 40 urinals filled with rose water. He and I'll go pelt one another with them. Now he begins to fear me. Can you fetch a frisk, sir? Let him go upon my peril. I find by his eye he stands in awe of me. I'll make him as dumb as a dormouse. Now the doctor is basically saying, because they sees him, undressing himself. So doctor is saying, let him do whatever he wants to, and this is the way, like, he can feel easy, and I'll be able to treat him. And then he's saying, I'll get control of him in a way that I'll make him as tame as a dormouse. Okay, Ferdinand, can you fetch your frisks, sir? I'll stamp him into a callus, tear off his skin to cover one of the anatomies. This rogue had sat in the cold yonder in Baba's Karajan's hall, and since you are all of you like beasts for sacrifice, there's nothing left of you but tongue and belly, flattery and lechery. So here you can see the meaning of the word callous. Okay, that is both, which we already have covered, and then is anatomies. Okay, skeletons used by medical colleges, implying that doctors supplied many of them by his bad practice. Okay, and surgeons or barbers perform some surgical practices such as bleeding. Okay, and then man is nothing but a deceiver and a creature of appetite. So here Ferdinand, as a reaction, Ferdinand was talking. These were the remarks of Ferdinand for the doctor, is the doctor was treating him. Okay, Ferdinand runs off. So Pescara, doctor, he did not fear you truly. Okay, so this was how after the reaction of Ferdinand, so Pescara is saying still he is not fearing. So doctor, true, I was somewhat too forward. Okay, doctor is saying I thought that you know he, he will be behaving properly with me. So Basola, mercy upon me, what a fatal judgment had fallen upon his Ferdinand. So this is how Basola was reacting after seeing the condition of Ferdinand. Pescara, knows your grace what accident hath brought unto the prince this strange distraction. Okay, so Piscara wants to know like what has caused him to behave like this. He wanted to know, okay, the reason behind this, behind the illness of Ferdinand. So cardinal aside, I must win somewhat. Thus they saw, thus they say it grew. Okay. Alexa, you are going to read this passage.
I must feign somewhat, thus they say it grew. You've heard it rumoured for these many years. None of our family dies, but there is seen the shape of an old woman which is given by tradition to us to have been murdered by her nephews for her riches. Such a figure one night, as the prince sat up late at his book, appeared to him. When crying out for help, the gentleman of chamber found his grace all on a cold sweat, altered much in face and language, since which apparition he has grown worse and worse than I much fear.
Okay, so how would you define it? Okay, this is
Oh,
okay. Yes, just a minute. Yes.
well, they talked about this tradition that they'd heard of the woman who had did by her family for her money.
Yes. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yes. So Cardinal, because Pescara asked the reason, so now Cardinal, Cardinal knew the reason behind the disease of Ferdinand, but he didn't wanted to give the real reason to Pescara. He didn't want to show like what is the real cause behind it. So in order to deceive others, because Cardinals also had some kind of hand behind the murder of his sister, so he didn't want to show the what was the real cause, but he just gives them a kind of different rumor, okay, a kind of a story which was famous. So he's saying, um, thus we are, he's saying like we have heard we are being having a rumor of a murder of a woman who was killed by her nephews. So this, he's saying that woman, are the idea of that woman that has haunted, uh, Ferdinand, that has haunted Ferdinand. So that's why, after getting the idea of that woman, Ferdinand is behaving like this. Okay, so you have heard it rumored for these many years, none of our family dies, but there is a scene, the shape of an old woman, okay, which is given by tradition to us to have been murdered by her nephews for her riches. Okay, so he's saying, in our family, whosoever behaves like this, or whosoever dies, so they die because of the shape of an old woman, which who was killed. Okay, who was killed? Why was she killed? She was killed because of her money. Okay, such a figure one night is the prince sat up late at his book appeared to him. So he's saying he saw, that lady. Uh, so when crying out for help, the gentleman of a chamber found his grace all in a coal. So that is how that lady, after seeing that lady, he started behaving like that. Okay, all on a cold, all on a cold sweat, altered much in face and language, since which apparition he had grown worse and worse, and much fear he cannot live. So this is how, his condition has turned in such a, uh, you know it's such a level that I fear that he cannot live. So Basola, sit. I would speak uh, with you. Okay. So Pescara, I'll leave your grace. Okay. So, wishing to the sick prince, our noble lord, all health of mind and body. Okay. So now Basola was there. He wanted to talk to the cardinal, and Pescara leaves. Cardinal, you are most welcome. Okay. He wanted to talk to Cardinal. And now Cardinal is replying. So, exit all but Cardinal and Basola. Okay. But here you should know that Basola, he also knew the reality behind this madness of Ferdinand, and Cardinal also knew. But Cardinal was not directly involved in the murder, but Cardinal had given order. A Cardinal had said to the Ferdinand, and Ferdinand was the front man who directed to Basola. So, in a way that Basola could not blame a cardinal for that murder. So that is why, and cardinal was also avoiding that thing by giving that, a kind of story to Pescara. So cardinal didn't want to show his kind of connection with the murder. So now, okay, now, okay, are you going to read this passage as well?
Um, are you come? So this fellow must not know by any means I had intelligence in our Duchess's death, without I counted it. The full of all engagement seemed to grow from Ferdinand. Now, sir, how's fair our sister? I do not think which sorrow makes her look like to an oft a garment. She shall now taste comfort from me. Why do you look so wildly?
Okay, till here, yes.
Um, oh, the fortune of your master here, the prince, dejects you, but be you of happy comfort. If you'll do one thing for me, I'll entreat. Though he had a cold tombstone over his bones, I'd make you what you would be.
Okay, so uh, now there, here are you come. So then here we can see aside, this thing he directly did not say to Basola, but he was talking, with himself. So in order to show us, so these were his thoughts, these were cardinal's thought This fellow must not know by any means I had intelligence in our Duchess's death, for though I counselled it, the full of all the engagement seemed to grow from Ferdinand. So now he's saying, no, I must not tell this thing, and I should conceal this thing that I had direct link with the to the murder of the Duchess. So now this is how Cardinal is going to act, and he's going to show that he's unaware of the of what has happened. So that's why now he has started with Basola, and he is asking how is his sister doing. So in a way he was showing like he didn't know that she was dead. So and he's saying that he wants to show like this all happened just because of Ferdinand. Ferdinand was only involved in the murder of his sister. So now, sir, now how fares the Duchess? So this is how he has just started asking about about the Duchess, and then he's describing her conditions of the Duchess, and then at the very end, okay. Okay, Rixa, we are going to end it here. Okay, we are our next lecture. We are going to start from here. Okay,
Okay.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah